So when somebody's new to guitar and they're trying to learn a song, it usually sounds like this. They'll figure out the chords. And they're like, cool, I got those memorized. And then they figure out the strum pattern. And they're like, cool, I got that. Let's put them together. But since they don't know the chords, it takes a minute. Every chord change is a little slow. You know, and it sounds like that for months. And the reason is because the strum pattern comes together really fast. You're playing the strum pattern a lot more times than you're playing each individual chord. So this gets learned at a way faster rate than the chords do as you're learning the song. If you play the song enough times, sure, you'll get faster at the chords, but that's not the most efficient way to do it. You need to put all your time into the chord changes and getting to the chords faster in order to learn the whole song faster. That's going to be the quickest way to shorten the gap between your chord changes. So that's what this exercise is about. It's for muscle memorizing chords and getting to them faster, closing the gap between chord changes using a metronome. So here's what the exercise looks like. We're going to start with a chord. Let's say G for now. I'm going to get a metronome going, and I'm going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4. The goal is to strum the chord on 1 when I'm saying the word 1, and then kick your fingers out and get them back to the chord by the time I get to 1 again. So it would be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll start at 60 beats per minute and gradually work our way up to 120. And then when we get to there, we'll go back down to 60 and we'll strum on 1 and 2, kick out, and return on 3 and 4. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is going to make it so the gap is getting smaller and smaller as we change chords. So here's what the one strum chord kick exercise looks like with a metronome. I'll count us in. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll try and do 4 in a row, and then we'll move on to the next one. Once we get up to 120, we drop it back down to 60, and we do 2 strums. So it looks like this. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll gradually work our way up to 120, doing the 2 strums. So here's some do's and don'ts for this exercise. You got to make sure you're using curled fingers, using the very tips of your fingers. Let's see. Here are the dents in my fingers. You can see they're on the very close to the fingernail. They're not on the front of the fingers. They're on the tops of the fingers. That's where you want to place the strings. That way you're not accidentally touching 2 strings at the same time. Something that might happen with a chord like C, for instance. If my fingers, if I'm using a low angle, if I'm using the front of my fingers, this finger is accidentally hitting the string under it, so it doesn't ring. And that one doesn't ring, and that one rings, but that one doesn't ring because I'm blocking all of these strings on accident. You need to curl your fingers as much as you can using the very tips of your fingers so that all those strings can get under them without touching it. The key to that is keeping your thumb pointing toward the ceiling. If you point it toward the wall, it's going to bring your wrist up here, and that contracts all these tendons and makes it so you can't, move your fingers very fast, but you also can't stretch. If I've got my fingers like this and I'm trying to stretch my fingers out, I can't. If I have my thumb pointing toward the ceiling, now I can stretch pretty far. You'll also want to make sure you've got your elbow up top here. I've got a lot of students that try and put their guitar in their armpit. You don't want to do that. That forces you to strum over the fretboard instead of over the pickups or your sound hole if you've got an acoustic guitar. When you're doing the chord kicks, it's okay to come back and go one finger at a time. It'd be a really good idea to try and change the fingers each time so one doesn't become more dominant than the other, and then eventually they'll all just get there at the same time. It's also a great idea to say the chord name out loud before you place it. That will create a muscle memory trigger. You'll think G, and it's going to cause your fingers, like a chain reaction, to just go to G, which is going to come in handy when you're trying to sight read chord charts and you just see a G, your fingers just go to G, or something like that. So it's good to go kick and say out loud G, kick, G, kick, G, and then place it. After you do that enough times, I mean, like 100, 200 times, it's just, you're going to be able to do it without thinking about it. It's just going to happen naturally. I can sit here and have a conversation with you right now while I do this chord, because I've done it so many times. It'll be as easy as walking. You just have to put the reps in. So I know it's tedious, but you just gotta make a little bit of time for it each day. Be patient with yourself. Don't try and be pro in a few weeks. You know, give yourself some time. Keep at it. Set small goals for yourself so that, you know, you enjoy the little wins along the way. And in a couple years, you'll be shredding with the best of them. Well, that does it for this demonstration. Hopefully it was informative. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And if not, I'll see you in the next one.